Join us as we explore 2025's top food trends, from sustainable and global flavors to tech-driven dining. Plus, we highlight the impact of shopping locally on our community. Welcome to the Edible Valley Podcast.
We want to invite you as we embark on a culinary journey through the heart of Vancouver Island.
From the fertile fields
to the pristine waters of the Pacific Ocean.
We'll explore the stories behind the food that nourishes us.
Tune in to each episode as we deep dive into the flavors, the traditions, and the innovations that make this a true paradise.
Now please join us as we explore our Edible Valley.
Hello, good day to you. This is the Edible Valley Podcast. I'm William Stringer.
And I'm Chef Jonathan Fraser. And we are here again to just get another podcast in before I head away.
Yeah, and I want to thank the people that are hosting us today, the kind people at not 98.9 Jet FM, the Comox Valley's best rock. It's the Fraser family.
Yeah, well, it's a bit the snow that we were talking about when we had that excellent interview with Chef Taylor.
Yeah.
And we had all the great times there. We were talking about getting cold and the weather. Well, now it's hit us, and now we're out there in the snow. And
what is it? 3rd of February. We've had not any big snow event. It's kind of been snowing little, but for a long period of time, and it's due to go on for a few more days. So it's actually all right out there. It's perfectly fine. There's about 1.5 inches, 2 inches of snow, and it's been plowed, but it's not coming down hard. That's probably our winter.
You know what? This is what we do out in BC. We do this for the rest of Canada. We have this one day of horrible, really light snow, and then we completely fall apart.
Yeah. It's so true. Now, it's very powdery, though.
Oh, yeah.
Is that normal? I mean, is that just because it's fresh?
I think it's really cold out there. Well, I mean, for us,
it is cold. It's -3, -4.
4, which is cold for us, and usually our snow is sitting around that -1 to -2.
So it goes all slushy.
Bigger flakes. And
it's lovely. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about made a dinner that would make you proud. So can I tell you what I did? Really
let's hear about this.
Well, it was cod, and I got it because it was cheap. Cheap cod. So chopped it into fillets. I got a frying pan, put a bunch of butter in there. Oh no, actually I chopped it into fillets, chucked them into a pan, lemon juice, salt, pepper, swish it around, butter in a pan, chucked all that into a pan. So they all cooked, looking absolutely lovely. Loads of butter in there, cooking it all up.
Yeah.
Amazing.
You got me on. You had me at butter.
Wait for them, 145 degrees, took them out, put them to one side. A ton more butter into the pan, scrape, and then a bunch of was it dill? No, it wasn't dill. It was chives or something. It was something that goes really well with fish.
A nice herb of some sort.
I'm the worst ingredient guy in the world.
Was it tarragon? Was it
it might have been
have like a licoricey flavor to it, or was it
no?
Was it more?
It's green.
Green. Okay, well
that freeze dried
it
and it was round. But anyway. It sounds like chives, but it wasn't chives.
Well, let's go.
Anyway, chucked it into the pan, melted a bunch more butter, bunch more lemon juice, whatever it was, tarragon or something. Chucked all that in, swished it around, swish, and then I poured it over the fish. Oh, I missed a bit. So, in the beginning bit, chopped up the fish, lemon, salt, pepper, dipped it in flour that had in it paprika, onion powder, garlic powder, the whole shebang, cornstarch, all in there. Then I chucked that on the frying pan. It was the crunchiest, tastiest fish.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah,
yes.
It was. Is that a legit recipe?
I think you're onto something there, like dredging your snapper, frying it in a nice pan, and then taking the drippings up there. I could see that being very delicious, actually.
Good. Thank you, TikTok.
And you got lots of flavors. So
there were so many flavors.
Yeah.
I'm just sat there. Eva actually said it's a bit like, can I say this? A bit like sitting with the sound of a porno in the next room, because I'm sat there like, because it's just the tastes.
Right.
There's just so many tastes. It is so nice. So anyway, she's like, can you just tell me it's nice and leave
okay.
It yeah.
See, the joys of doing it in my house is I can hear my wife laughing at you in the back corner. So Oh, good times. I love a good snow day.
Yeah. Anyway, now we're doing this actually at a different time because you're off to the States, to the great state of Louisiana.
Yeah.
To day after tomorrow, Thursday.
So we got a couple days. So we're going to be heading down to New Orleans and soaking up the warm air down there.
Is it warm though?
It is. It's up in the 20s down there. So it's actually sounding pretty nice down there right now. What city are you
going to?
We are in New Orleans. So we are down there. We are there for Super Bowl. We are going to be enjoying ourselves. We're going to be hitting Flavor Town. Got a whole bunch of interviews lined up. We're going to be talking to a bunch of chefs. We're going to learn about the street down there and all of those good things. So
it is nice. It's going to be 78 degrees.
I know. We're going to love it. We're going to be in heaven.
Well, I didn't believe it. I thought it was going to be cold.
Well, it was funny because like a week ago it froze down there.
I was going to say I saw that, but it's already
warming up because the Super Bowl's coming, right?
It has to be. Yeah,
that's what we got to be there.
It's the law of the land. Okay, a little bit later, we're going to be talking about the importance of eating local, specifically because of the potential for tariffs, 25% tariffs coming from the United States into Canada. Now, we are an apolitical show. We're not interested in talking about politics in the slightest, but that reality is driving us to eating local, buying more local things. So we're going to be talking about that a little later.
Well, here I wanted to talk out because it's that time of year that we can talk a little bit about food trends for 2025.
Okay.
And I think when you're talking about tariffs, that could be one thing that really affects food trends for 2025.
Yeah.
Right? Just the fact of having prices raise up an extra 25%. If that happens, it may not happen. But let's just say if it does, that's going to affect how we eat and what foods we're going after.
Yeah.
So anyways, I've been doing a little bit of research. I've been sort of going online as I do every year. And as we usually do a podcast every year about the food trends. And sometimes I think we're pretty close, but other times, who knows? We just throw out some ingredients and we see what hits.
Do you remember any of the ones from last year? Because I remember doing the show.
Yeah. Well, I remember talking.
We were in the studio last year.
We were in the studio.
Which is weird. That was a year already. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the ones I think some of them have followed through to this year too. The one that we were talking about purple yams, and which is a trend that I don't think really caught on for me. Yeah. That was the one that I was kind of like, I was
wrong.
Excited. I was excited about it because I thought it was, and I think it did reach out there to a few people.
Yeah.
And there was some really creativity with that, but I just don't think I just didn't like them myself personally.
All right. Well, now if I remember rightly, we did the spinny wheel. So come on.
We can do it. I got to start off the spinny wheel.
And we're going to get Erin into the spinny wheel in a minute as well. She's lying on the bed, so I'm sure she can hear that. Go. Go on.
All right.
Bloody spinny wheel.
So first of all, I want to talk about, and we're sort of talking about this, sustainable and ethical eating. So it's really looking into things such as regenerative farming and zero waste kitchens. I think that's going to be a big food trend of this year.
Okay.
So, and I think this was one of the ones that was last year too, a little bit we talked about. We're looking at farms that are going to be producing that little extra, are producing more food.
Yeah.
Right. That are stable, right? That aren't using as many outside things to fertilize the soil.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That's another thing is looking for alternative proteins. Because that's a big environmental thing, and it's a very big drain on the food system because a lot of proteins require a lot of protein or a lot of food to produce them. So and water, right? So finding some mainstream and some still niche items out there to look into.
Now, food waste in restaurants. You mentioned food waste. Now I work for River Cottage in the UK. Briefly. Well,
right.
I say briefly. I was there for about six and a half years. They tested out a system in a kitchen which would interest you to measure waste, and essentially the bin where you threw all the food away, all the food only, there was a bin for only food.
Right.
Which is pretty normal, I think, these days. But it's on some scales, and there's a little computer above it. A little bit like if you go to Superstore and you're going to buy some fruit and veg, and you can print out the barcode. You weigh it yourself and you print out the barcode for it.
Right, of course.
And so every time you chuck something away, like a bit of onion, you have to press onion and then throw it in there. And it will then send data on food waste to the owners, to whoever.
Really?
And then you're taught how to reduce that. They'll probably say, well, look, see if you can reduce that by 10%.
Oh, okay.
How do we use more of the onion? How do we teach better knife skills so we can not be throwing away so much? Of course, it drives people in the kitchen crazy because they have to go onto a computer and
type in every time they throw something away.
But I mean, in theory, all they have to do is press the onion button and chuck the onion in.
Right. No, that sounds like a great idea. I've also worked with systems where you have a scale by weight.
That's the system I just told you.
Oh yeah, but I'm like, this is one you're not counting where it is. We used to do this actually with.
You're just weighing the whole lot by
just
weight.
weighing the whole lot.
Okay,
yeah, and just being like trying to decrease. We actually did this with the Hugh Band Elementary School salad bar program. Okay, because they found out that the kids are throwing away half of the food that was going on their plate, so they started weighing all the food that the kids brought in. Each class, at the end of the class, they'd all scrape into a bin. And then they'd take it down and weigh it. And then the class who had the least amount of waste in the bin got a prize or something like that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So it really drove the kids to make sure that they were allowed to take as much as they want, but they had to eat it all. And they got penalized if they took food and didn't eat it. So it would challenge kids to eat. Like they would take a little, like if they wanted more, they were quite welcome to come back and get more. But it was one of those ones, take what you think you can eat instead of just heaping the plate as high as you can. Yeah.
And they were all motivated to do it, eh?
They were completely motivated because they got a prize out of it at the end of the day. Anyway, so that was one of my ones. And so, yeah, definitely working with that is looking at doing like a climate friendly dining and like really working on the carbon footprint in having that even on the menu as one of the staples of your business, right? Yeah. So I think that's something, maybe as a diner you can start looking into and being like, hey, what kind of things are you doing in your restaurant to be sustainable and keep it as a more healthy place for the world, right?
All right, I do spinny wheel.
Your turn to spin.
My one's going to be in the theme of the Count from Sesame Street. Sorry, it sped up and then slowed. I was going the wrong way. I was actually just doing an impression of the Count. Then I realised where I was. Anyway, where did it land?
On ingredients and flavor innovations. Nice. All right, so this is the one where I was sort of looking at seaweeds and algae-based foods, and those are some superfoods that how we can infuse those into.
I think seaweed was in last year's.
I know seaweed was in, but I think this is...
It's algae.
I'm trying to get a little bit of everything going here, right? I'm looking at seaweed from my own personal point of view for cooking is actually using it to increase umami flavors in a lot of foods. So using dried kelp and such, like ground dried kelp into sauces to sort of bring out those other flavors, to enhance the flavors in the dish. That's kind of where I've been looking at it from. Another one I want to say is like some different spice blends coming from like Western Africa, Middle Eastern spices, and like Filipino spices flavorings. Like I think those are sort of a good future of sort of flavors that are coming out there. And then of course for ingredients is looking for gut health and brain boosting, longevity focused eating, like foods that can
yourself longevity. The food longevity.
Well, I'm thinking more for yourself, for longevity, for yourself, to help your own function, to keep you fuller for longer periods, and just a sort of roll along those lines. So those are something I've been looking at.
Yeah, like gut health and shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's one way of saying it.
I was trying to say that and just think, I wonder if he'll notice. We're trying to make this a cooler, more hip.
Yeah, just being
podcast.
Well played there. It's my turn for a spinning wheel, is it now?
We'll get Aaron in a minute. You do it, yeah.
Oh, listen to this one, actually. I found this as part of the program I have. Ready?
Yeah. Oh, yeah! It's an electronic spinny wheel.
We have an electronic spinny wheel now.
Okay.
All right. So here's the one that I'm really working on. And this is one that I think I've talked about. And I don't think it's been a trend as much as in I think it's becoming a trend. It is a trend in everything in the world. Tech and dining innovations, right? So I'm talking about AI-powered meal planning and smart kitchens.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like, I think that's
smart kitchens.
Smart.
Are we talking fast food?
We're
production?
talking. No, I think we're talking a little bit of your own health in your own kitchen in your house, right? Like you have the ability to pull AI out to do meal plannings and having equipment in your kitchen that's smart that will cook for you and help you cook, right?
Right.
Those are kind of things that I was sort of looking at with that one.
I mean, these things are all old technology, but I still I wake up when I've done a loaf of bread in the bread maker. Wake up in the morning and you've got your coffee that's done and you've got your bread, a whole loaf of bread just sat there nice and hot, asking for some butter. And I just think, oh my God, that's unbelievable. But I know that's technology from the 70s probably.
But I think just bringing those all together and then having AI to be able to help you. Like the fact that you can walk up with your phone and take a picture of your fridge now and then go, hey, Mr. AI, Mr. Chat GPT, what should I make in my fridge? Like that is an option nowadays.
Is that right?
It is something you can do. Yeah. It's like this is the world we live in now, right?
I'll tell you what, while we're on that subject, actually. So I have a bit of an addiction to crisps and chocolate. And I said I'm not going to have any crisps or chocolate this year. And it is 10th of February or 5th of February, and I haven't had any at all.
Oh, congratulations.
And nor have I been tempted. So long may that go on. But when I was trying to fight this addiction, and I'm going to call it addiction lightly. I know it's not what people would traditionally. But, I do struggle to not eat it. I go to ChatGPT, I take a picture of, I don't know, anything, bag of crisps, and I say, convince me in 1 minute why not to eat this. And then I say, I'll go around the store, do the rest of my shopping. If I still want to after I've listened to it, then I do. And it tells me all the awful stuff in that. AI.
See, that's brilliant. Yeah. So anyways, another one for tech and dining innovation, automated restaurants, robotic. And so you're starting to see these, robotic cooking utensils, like there's a lot of places that'll make coffee now for you or make a cupcake or there's a whole...
Really? Yeah. The whole lot?
The whole lot of it. We had a cake when I was in Las Vegas last year for Super Bowl and it was an automated cake that came out and I was like, okay.
And was it nice?
It was okay.
Yeah.
Maybe not there. But there is a lot of automation going into restaurants now, especially with reservation systems and definitely ways of booking and ordering your food, whether you can go onto an app and pre-order before you even get to a restaurant. So when you show up there, it's all ready for you. So there's a lot of those innovations happening in the world of food. So it's quite interesting. I find it's kind of a cool thing to see that happening now, right? Like I always have a thing that I believe one day there'll be that. I mean, how many restaurants you can come in, you can just tap on a screen right at your table.
Oh, that's amazing. Now I went to, I've been using the Tim Hortons app.
Okay.
And I will say I wrote to customer service and they resolved this and it's been sorted. And the Tim Hortons nearest to us is on their game. However, I ordered on the app and it said, you don't go to the counter, just go and pick up the food. And I watched the young lady, she went and made the sandwich. It's a great sandwich. And then she just kind of put it under what should be a hot plate, but isn't a hot plate for some reason. There it sat for about 3 or 4 minutes. And I remember, and I was stood there and I was like, I don't really want to bother anyone, but there's no system. And that's what I told the customer service. I said, there is no system no one takes responsibility.
Right.
They were all standing around, all busy, trying their hardest.
Yeah.
But no one was looking out for the big picture. So there's a sandwich there getting cold, but hey, it's not my sandwich. I mean, but it was my sandwich anyway.
Yeah.
So the technology things are great, but you still need the systems.
You still need
unless
the
they can
system.
physically bring it to me, and if they can, well, God love them, love it.
All right, you ready to spin the wheel again?
I'm gonna get Erin for this one. Yeah, come on,
Aaron.
Oh, you gonna go on your own microphone?
Sure.
We've got her actually out from her bed to do this.
Look at this technology. I'll admit I was giggling in the other room.
Right, here's a spinny wheel. There you
Oh,
go.
you used the good spinny wheel.
I did. You have to create your own
I
spinning
can't
wheel.
improvise like this.
You have to.
This is too much pressure.
I just did the count.
Can I do a drum roll?
No.
Oh, you guys are killing me.
Who drum rolls a spinny wheel?
It's not how a spinning wheel works ever.
No. There's your, hello, do you know spinny wheels?
What is happening? I
your
just
first
ruined
spinny
this
wheel.
podcast.
Okay, you got to reach up high.
All right.
Grab it on the top.
Okay.
And then as you pull it in.
It's like a
Come on,
it's like a doorbell
Have you seen
from
the
the
Wheel of
20s.
Have you seen the Wheel of Fortune?
Yeah, that was a good one, though. I can't
No,
do
you
those.
tape it off after about 2 seconds. John, do a spinning
I was
wheel.
hoping to get the good spinning wheel, the one you blew the bucket on.
That was a good spinning wheel.
That was a really good one.
Right,
Yeah.
you get another chance. You
One
get
more
another chance, Erin.
Oh, I can't. This is too much pressure.
You can't come over here, sit down, and then say you can't.
Can I say, for the record, that I was going to use the new and improved spinning wheel?
Which is where?
The one
That was the
you
electric
used.
one that I used already.
Oh, go on, spin that one.
That
then,
was
go on.
my
Do you want me to
favorite.
spin that again?
Spin,
first?
Yes.
spin the electric one.
This is so difficult. Here we go.
All right. we paid a lot for that.
Lamest spinning wheel I've ever had in my life. Right, John, food trends.
Food trends. All right. Well, I don't know if this works for anyone at the table right now, but we're talking about beverage. And I want to start off with talking about non-alcoholic cocktails, which was on last year with the mocktails, and low ABV drinks, right?
Right,
So low
yeah.
alcohol content drinks as sort of new, I wouldn't say, I think it's a trend for this year. I think it's a continuing trend from last year, and that people are going to get really into having these style drinks and being more excited about having something that they can pair with their food at the table that's not gonna, that they can drive home afterwards. Let's say that in the strictest of words, to be responsible, right? So you can actually enjoy something with everyone else, and that you don't need alcohol to be.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be amazed. Is alcohol? What is happening to that statistically? Is it growing in Canada and the States? Is it?
Well, it's always
reducing?
interesting because every January.
Oh, are
is
you part of
dry,
the podcast now?
Apparently, I am. I didn't earn my
I
keep
think
with
we
the
need to do a
spinning
vote
wheel,
on
but
this. Right, go on.
I was going to throw in my 2 cents with it because I failed on the spinny wheel, but I was just going to say with dry January, that's always seems to be like a trend. And then people, they always come out with that report saying how bad alcohol is and, how it can contribute to health problems. And there's a link to cancer. And so I think that's always at the top of people's minds this time of year. And that's my cameo for the podcast.
You can stay. The fact we like you because we're giving you beef.
Yeah, that's right.
I do agree. I mean, I've progressively come off alcohol just because I don't like the way it makes me feel. Quite honestly,
unless
I'm having a lot of it, in which case it feels great.
Yeah, and then the next day feels awful. So So I think another thing is going to be coming is a lot more fermented drinks, right? And I think around here we've been really on this trend for years, but like kombucha and shrubs and stuff like that, like really fermented drinks that are
It's so good for your gut.
Exactly. We talked about health gut issues, and there's something that can help with that. I'm still trying to like kombucha, but it's
Really?
it
But
is
you're
always
not?
it is always a difficult because I always feel like it's bitter and gone off.
Right.
And so that's one
'Cause
that
it's
always
got that fermented.
it's got
Are
that
you
fermented
expecting
flavor.
a pot?
Well, and it's not that I'm even expecting anything. I just that sour bitter taste is something as a chef, and maybe having to sample too much stuff to see if it was worthwhile or it could be used. That's the flavor I always get out of it. So it's always been a hard one for me to really grasp onto, right?
Yeah.
So whereas I've actually really enjoyed shrubs because it's that fruit vinegar sort of flavor.
yeah.
So adding
Absolutely.
those into a drink, especially like a nice mocktail, are perfect. Now, not to say that all alcohol is off the list, but I think getting down to really hyper local wines and spirits are a definite big trend again. I think last year was a little bit more like breweries. I am feeling like that trend is kind of coming to the end.
Okay.
I feel like it's
What's this Guinness thing?
What's this Guinness
The Guinness thing about everywhere running out of Guinness because suddenly girls are all drinking Guinness.
I am not too sure. I think it's I don't blame them because I don't
sort
mind
of
a
made
Guinness.
me want Guinness. And Guinness, and to mix two trends, Guinness and non-alcoholic, and they've got non-alcoholic Guinness now.
Really?
Yeah, I bought some at Land and Sea,
Yeah.
and very good. You could not tell
That
the
it
difference.
wasn't? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing too, is like a lot of beer companies have gone to non-alcoholic beers.
Yeah.
Which I've always been like, it sounds like a waste of a good beer, but actually, they're quite enjoyable. And at a barbecue, you know, you don't drink them too fast, and you just have a nice, it's a nice thirst quencher, So
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
one last spinny wheel.
All right. Okay.
This is you.
My turn. Okay. Whoosh. There you are. That's a take on a spinny wheel.
So we weren't going to look into the future of dining and food culture with this one. So I want to think about how we're going to go back to communal dining and experience-driven meals. I think those are going to come back. We went through COVID where we couldn't touch each other. We couldn't sit at the same table. We couldn't have
by
the
the way,
same...
they're not talking about me and John specifically. Just as a society.
As a society, we haven't been able to do this. We were in the same bubble.
Got a table between us.
Anyways, so those experienced meals, I think, are coming back. Food as wellness, right, is becoming more health conscious in there. And so the whole connection between sharing a dining experience, I think, is going to become more and more important in our dining culture. And then this leads me to our last little pub sort of thing on this, and then it's the ultra localized food sourcing. And I think as we started the show talking about with, the thing of tariffs coming in, is that now there's been a reason why we've always talked about supporting local.
Yeah.
Right. And I think this is a really good example of why we need to invest into our own food systems, and especially keep
100%.
them very within our own region for times like this. Right. Not that I'm saying going out into other areas and experiencing foods there, but it really helps to keep a stable food price for sure. Right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and we'd be fools if we didn't support our own food system. One of the main things a society and a country needs to do is support its own people and feed its own people.
Exactly.
It's like job one.
Yeah.
Keep them sheltered, keep them fed.
Exactly.
So absolutely.
And that's one thing that I've noticed, and I'm bringing it up now because of tariffs and stuff like that. And we keep talking about that. But it's also something I've learned over the years is with food trending is that when we're buying our food, our long base source foods, so we're shopping from Mexico and California and Florida and the southern regions, and we're bringing up all this food, if there's ever an issue, prices skyrocket. Prices dive, right? Whereas if you can keep this own stuff growing in your own area and you can keep a stable price, you may be paying a little bit more for it right now or in the peak season, but then in the off season, it's going to balance out.
Yeah. And then, of course, you've got preservation methods. You've got freezing. We are in the Great White North, after all.
You leave it out on the patio?
Leave it on the patio. You can pickle it. You can put it in a jar. Make it into jams. I mean, there's lots of ways of preserving things to keep them going. And I, for one, am looking forward to having a lovely, delicious, huge Mexican avocado. Sorry, I left a lot of room for...
I was like, where are you going with this? Yeah, and I mean, and that's the thing
it's like 10 o'clock, I'm getting tired.
I mean, the thing is, yeah, we're lucky that we get to experience food from all over the world, but we have to also look at securing our own areas, right? And then that helps us maintain quality and standards, especially in our own products. We're ensuring food security is what we're talking about. The environmental impact is definitely reduced, right? Just the transporting food from one area of the country to another area of the country is ridiculous, right? And you start looking at liquids, and that's something I know ordering through distributors. If you're like anything that's with weight or is heavy on a food truck, they're charging you a premium price to make sure you ship it. So looking at how you can reduce those sort of markets. And I know there's always going to be time that you need to bring in food from other places. Just making smart and healthy choices on that, and maybe thinking, you know what, this may be from Alberta, this may be from the prairies, right? Let's give that a try instead of something that's coming out of California.
Absolutely. Well, and it couldn't be a better time to be discussing these things. So, as this goes on, we might be discussing it even more. If the tariffs do come in a month's time, we'll definitely be discussing it because it'll be more of a necessity. If it doesn't, then I think it's a good idea that we try and keep some of that closeness to our own areas. And I would say that if we lived in Arkansas, then we'd be looking for stuff grown in Arkansas, and if we were in India, we'd be looking for stuff grown in India. I think it's just good to keep close in that sense. So yeah, I think hopefully we'd learn a continuous lesson from this.
That sounds like a great plan for us for this year at least, right?
Alrighty. Well, look, you're off to Louisiana.
That's right.
Have a great time. It's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
They're a great bunch of people down there. I know it's going to be a really, really fun time. And of course, it's Super Bowl, so you're just going to be partying and
eating and getting to talk to all the people down there. So we're super excited. We're going to have a couple of podcasts while we're down there. We've lined up with a couple chefs from down there that may have some connection with some football players. Some people that know the local lore and what happens down on Bourbon Street. You know, all those fun things are coming forward on the next couple weeks for us. And so we'll be releasing those as part of the Edible Valley for the next little bit. But then you and me also have a bunch of other interviews lined up over the next month or so with a bunch of other people. So I'm looking forward to
firing from all cylinders.
I'm looking forward to being in the studio at Jet FM and really connecting with the community. So
me too. All right, so that's it from the Edible Valley podcast on the 3rd of February, on a very snowy 3rd of February 2025. I'd like to say thank you to the wonderful people at 98.9 Jet FM, the Comox Valley's best rock, who usually we are using their studio. So thank you as ever for your hospitality, and have a safe and wonderful trip down south.
Thank you, Will. And thank you for listening to the Edible Valley podcast.
Cheers.